Standard advice for high blood sugar is eating less and losing weight. But for adults over 60, this calorie-cutting approach can actually accelerate the problem. As the body ages chronologically, it begins a process of dismantling its own primary storage space for blood glucose. This 3D schematic shows how skeletal muscle, which makes up nearly half of our body mass, operates. It acts as a massive metabolic sink, absorbing and storing the vast majority of the glucose circulating in the bloodstream. Sarcopenia, the natural loss of muscle tissue in our later decades, physically shrinks this storage capacity. There is simply less room to put the sugar. Age-related insulin resistance is a direct consequence of muscle loss, not fat gain. Reversing it requires a strategy that builds the body up, rather than stripping it down. The macro loss of muscle mass is compounded by microscopic dysfunction inside the remaining tissue. The aging muscle cells stop accepting glucose. This happens because older skeletal muscle overproduces a specific enzyme known as protein tyrosine phosphatase 1b, or PTP-1b. As insulin binds to its receptor, the PTP-1b molecule silences the signal before the cell can accept glucose. The pancreas produces more insulin to compensate. This hormone accumulates, but the resistant muscle remains starved of fuel, while blood sugar stays trapped in circulation. To reverse this condition, we must bypass this cellular bottleneck and use specific biological triggers to rebuild the metabolic sink. Rebuilding that sink faces a major hurdle, a condition known as anabolic resistance. An older body ignores the muscle-building signals from standard amounts of dietary protein. This bar chart compares protein intake levels. The standard recommended dietary allowance of 0.8 grams per kilogram falls short for seniors. Overriding anabolic resistance requires hitting the leucine trigger, a concentration of amino acids achieved by consuming 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kilogram, which activates the growth pathway. Timing dictates how effectively this protein is used. Consuming 30 to 40 grams immediately after exercise and prior to sleep maintains muscle protein synthesis and prevents tissue breakdown while you rest. The secondary nutritional requirement is replacing refined carbohydrates with resistant starch. These complex carbs escape digestion and ferment in the colon, producing short-chain fatty acids that increase systemic insulin sensitivity. Aggressive protein dosing builds the physical hardware of the muscle, while resistant starches ensure that new tissue is highly responsive to incoming glucose. Even with optimized protein and fiber, a hidden variable often sabotages the metabolic sink: micronutrient deficiency. Magnesium is an essential mineral cofactor. It is specifically required to activate the insulin receptor's activity, the mechanism that allows the cell to register insulin's presence. This line graph tracks a 16-week randomized controlled trial following older adults with prediabetes and magnesium deficiency. The group that received a daily 360 mg magnesium supplement saw their fasting plasma glucose trending steadily downward into a safe zone, while the placebo group remained elevated. Without adequate magnesium, the receptor's chemical trigger fails to engage. The pathway remains inactive regardless of insulin levels or dietary changes. Protein provides the structural hardware for glucose disposal, but essential minerals like magnesium supply the electrical charge required to power the system. Aligning your habits with the body's internal clock dictates how well that hardware functions. When you eat is highly consequential. This clock face infographic illustrates early time-restricted feeding, or ETRF. This approach involves shifting the eating window to the earlier part of the day, ending all meals before 3 p.m. Research shows this specific timing improves pancreatic beta cell responsiveness and lowers blood pressure, even if total body weight stays exactly the same. Conversely, eating late into the night and suffering from poor sleep architecture increases cortisol and growth hormone secretion. This induces peripheral insulin resistance and prompts the liver to dump excess glucose into the bloodstream. Synchronizing food intake and sleep with daylight hours creates a hormonal environment where the newly rebuilt metabolic sink can process glucose efficiently. There is one physical intervention capable of immediately clearing glucose from the blood without relying on the damaged insulin pathway: a 15 to 20-minute post-meal walk. The physical contraction of skeletal muscle during this light exercise actively pulls glucose out of the bloodstream and into the cells, operating completely independently of insulin. Before starting these protocols, older adults must ensure proper daily hydration to maintain kidney function and monitor for interactions between these lifestyle changes and existing medications, like metformin, to prevent hypoglycemia. Reversing insulin resistance after age 60 requires moving away from restrictive, starvation-based dieting and focusing instead on tissue preservation. By adopting a nutrient-dense, muscle-centric lifestyle, older adults can move beyond simply managing a disease and actually reclaim their metabolic independence. So what if I told you that the reason you feel tired all the time, or constantly hungry, or just can't seem to lose weight has absolutely nothing to do with a lack of willpower, but everything to do with a silent message your body is sending you? Yeah, a message that millions of people are missing every single day. Today, we're going to decode that message and give you the ultimate blueprint to fight back. Okay, let's dive right in. Just imagine for a second that your body is this incredible high-tech communication network. And there's this hormone called insulin, and it's the most vital messenger, delivering life-sustaining fuel to trillions of your cells. But what happens when that critical message gets ignored? You know, what happens when your cells just decide to put that call on silent? Well, the results can be pretty devastating. And look, this isn't some abstract idea. You might be feeling the consequences of this right now. I mean, when your cells ignore that insulin signal, they're literally starving for energy. That's why you feel that crushing, can't get off the couch fatigue. And because your body thinks it's not getting enough fuel, it starts screaming for more food, which leads to that constant nagging hunger, even right after you've eaten a meal. It's just this awful vicious cycle. So these aren't just random symptoms, they are direct clues pointing to a massive underlying problem, the silent epidemic of insulin resistance. It's a condition that just kind of creeps up on you slowly, but its impact is profound, and it's setting the stage for some of the biggest health challenges we face today. But here is the crucial part, and I really want you to hear this. This is not a life sentence. In this explainer, we're going to unpack exactly what's happening inside your body, and even more importantly, we are going to arm you with a four-pronged battle plan to fight back. We're talking about a revolutionary way to look at your food, a movement mandate to literally reawaken your cells, a deep dive into the hidden power of sleep and stress, and, oh yeah, the critical nutrients that will supercharge your results. By the end of this, you will have a clear, actionable strategy to reclaim your energy and your health. So first things first, let's pull back the curtain and see what's really going on at a cellular level. It's a fascinating and absolutely crucial story about communication, about energy, and about what happens when the wires get crossed. So what is insulin resistance? Okay, think of it like this. Insulin is a key, and your cells have locks on them. In a healthy body, after you eat, your pancreas releases insulin, and that insulin key travels through your bloodstream, fits perfectly into the locks on your cells, and boom, opens the door for glucose to get in and give you energy. It's a beautiful, efficient system. But with insulin resistance, it's as if the lock on your cells has become jammed up or kind of rusty. The insulin key still shows up, but it just can't turn the lock properly. The door doesn't open, and as a result, all that glucose is left stranded outside, building up in your bloodstream like a massive traffic jam on the freeway, all while your cells inside are just starving for fuel. And this shows perfectly that this isn't a problem that happens overnight, it's a progression, right? It starts with your cells becoming resistant. Then, as that traffic jam of glucose in your blood gets worse, you develop high blood sugar. That's the stage we call pre-diabetes. And if it's left unchecked, your pancreas just gets overworked trying to produce more and more and more insulin to force those rusty locks open until it eventually can't keep up, and that leads to a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. But here is the most important thing I'll say in this entire section. You can stop this progression in its tracks. You can intervene at any point on this timeline. And if you're ready to learn exactly how, do me a quick favor and hit that like button to let me know you're with me on this journey. Alright, now that we understand the enemy, it's time to unveil our secret weapon. This is your single most powerful tool for change, and it's something you control multiple times every single day. Let's get into Pillar 1, the food blueprint. Okay, the strategy here is actually incredibly simple and clear. On the left, we have the foods that heal your metabolism and help restore your body's sensitivity to insulin. We're talking nutrient-dense whole foods packed with fiber, vitamins, and minerals. On the right, we have the culprits, the foods that fuel the fire of insulin resistance, create inflammation, and just make that cellular communication breakdown even worse. So the point is this: every meal is a choice. You can either choose foods that jam the lock further, or choose foods that help clean it out. Okay, but how do you actually apply this without getting totally overwhelmed? Well, you use this simple, powerful visual tool, the plate method. This is just brilliant. You take your plate and you visually divide it. First, fill half of it, that's the biggest section, with these vibrant non-starchy vegetables like broccoli, solid greens, or bell peppers. Then in 1/4, you add a high-quality lean protein, and that final quarter is for your smart, slow-release carbohydrates. See, it's not about deprivation, it's all about proportion. It's like a visual masterpiece for your metabolic health. And hey, let's zoom in on that final quarter of the plate for just a second. The crucial point here is that not all carbs are created equal. It's the type of carb that matters. We want to focus on these slow-release carbs, also known as low glycemic foods. Because they're packed with fiber, they break down slowly, giving you a steady stream of energy instead of a huge sugar rush that sends your insulin into overdrive. Swapping white rice for brown rice or quinoa or adding more of these amazing legumes like lentils and black beans is a total game changer. But what if I told you that even the most perfect diet can be completely undermined by a single, often overlooked factor? Well, coming up, we're gonna reveal the surprising truth about movement and why it's the missing piece of the puzzle for so many people. Stick around. Alright, it's time for Pillar 2, the movement mandate. And this is not just about burning calories or losing weight. Nope, this is about using physical activity to send a powerful, direct message to your cells to wake up, open that door, and start listening to insulin again. So what's the magic number? Well, the target is 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity per week. Now, before that sounds like a lot, let's break it down. That's just 30 minutes, 5 days a week. That could be a brisk walk where you can still talk, but you're a little breathless. It could be a bike ride or even dancing in your living room. It is totally achievable for almost anyone. And here's the incredible science behind it. During exercise, your muscles need fuel so they can actually pull glucose from your blood without needing insulin at all. But the real magic is this. Think of exercise as a master key that can unlock your cells and let the glucose in, even when the normal insulin key isn't working perfectly. And the best part? This effect lasts for hours after you've finished your workout, turning your body into an insulin-sensitive machine. Now for the ultimate 1-2 punch against insulin resistance, you really want to combine the two types of exercise you see here. Aerobic exercise, your cardio, is fantastic for overall health and improving how your body uses insulin, but please do not neglect resistance training. Building muscle is absolutely critical because muscle acts like a giant sponge for glucose. The more muscle you have, the more places your body has to store effectively soaking it right up from your bloodstream. And when you combine this food blueprint with the movement mandate, you get this absolutely staggering result. Just look at this number. According to research, losing just 5 to 7% of your body weight, which is only 10 to 14 pounds for a 200-pound person, can cut your risk of developing type 2 diabetes by a jaw-dropping 50%. It just proves that small, consistent changes lead to massive, life-altering rewards. Are you starting to see how powerful this is? If you're finding this guide valuable, do me a quick favor and smash that subscribe button and be sure to turn on notifications. It tells me you're serious about taking control of your health and it makes sure you won't miss our next deep dive explainer. We've covered food and movement, but you could be doing those two things perfectly and still struggle if you ignore our third and absolutely crucial pillar, the sleep and stress factor. These are the silent operators working behind the scenes and they're capable of sabotaging all your best efforts. Let's start with stress. Think about that feeling you get when you're stuck in traffic and you're late for a meeting. That's your body's fight or flight response kicking in, flooding your system with stress hormones like cortisol that tell your liver to dump sugar into your bloodstream for quick energy. Now, just imagine that happening on a low level all day, every day, from work deadlines, financial worries, and just endless notifications. That's the hidden damage of chronic stress. And then there's its partner in crime, lack of sleep. This statement right here is one of the most direct truths in all of metabolic health. The science is undeniable. Studies have shown that even a single night of poor sleep can significantly decrease your insulin sensitivity the very next day. Prioritizing 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep isn't a luxury, it is a non-negotiable metabolic necessity, so the action plan here is all about actively managing these forces, and creating a peaceful pre-sleep ritual is one of the kindest things you can do for yourself. I mean, imagine trading your phone's blue light for a warm bath, maybe a few moments of quiet meditation, and a cool, dark, and quiet bedroom. It's not just about getting more sleep. It's about creating a sanctuary for your mind and body to recover and reset your hormones. We have arrived at our final and maybe the most foundational pillar, the hydration and nutrient code. This is where we give your body the essential raw materials and building blocks it needs to execute all of these complex processes and just thrive. And it starts with the simplest element of all, water. Every single metabolic process in your body, including how you regulate blood sugar, depends on being properly hydrated. It's the oil that keeps the entire machine running smoothly. So before you reach for anything else, make sure you're drinking enough water throughout the day. Now, let's talk about a superstar micronutrient. I want you to meet magnesium, the unsung hero of your metabolic health. This quote from a study is just so incredibly powerful. Magnesium is like the conductor of an orchestra. It's involved in over 300 essential reactions in your body, including that crucial process of how your cells use glucose and respond to insulin. So many people are deficient in it, and it's a huge missing link. And the fantastic news is that you can dramatically increase your intake by focusing on delicious whole foods. Now look at this. Do these foods look familiar? They should. These are the same nutrient-dense powerhouses from Pillar 1. See, it all comes full circle. Nuts and seeds, dark leafy greens like spinach, the legumes we talked about, whole grains, even avocados. It just proves that when you eat real food, you're not just getting one benefit, you're supporting your body in countless interconnected ways. You know, this is the perfect spot to hear from you. I'm really curious, looking at everything we've covered, which of these 4 pillars was the biggest aha moment for you? Was it the power of the plate method, the surprising impact of sleep, or maybe the role of this mineral right here? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, but now it's time to put it all together. This isn't just information. This is your personal blueprint for a new beginning, a step-by-step guide to reclaiming your metabolic health, starting today. So let's recap the battle plan. Pillar 1. Food. Use the visual power of the plate method to build your meals around whole foods. Pillar 2. Movement. Get your 150 minutes a week, making sure you hit that powerful combo of cardio and resistance training. Pillar 3. Sleep and stress. Make 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep your non-negotiable priority and build in daily practices to manage stress. And finally, Pillar 4. Nutrients. Hydrate like it's your job and load your plate with those magnesium-rich foods. You know, the single most empowering message I want you to take away from all of this is that insulin resistance is not your destiny. It is not a fixed state. It is a wake-up call from your body, an invitation to take back control. You now have the knowledge, you have the tools, and you have the power to write a new vibrant story for your body. So I'm going to leave you with this one final crucial question. Look at this entire blueprint. What is the one small change you will commit to today? Not tomorrow, not next Monday, today. Maybe it's just swapping your soda for water. Maybe it's a 10-minute walk after dinner. Maybe it's putting your phone away an hour earlier tonight. That one small step, that one commitment, that's how it all begins. Your journey to better health starts with that single step. What will yours be? Share your commitment in the comments below and let's support each other on this incredible journey. If this guide has inspired you, don't forget to subscribe and share it with someone you care about. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next explainer.